Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Stochastic Strategy Show, MLB Strategy Show, I should say. A little 12-game action here. So sorry for being late. My Uber driver got lost on the way back to my house this morning. I'm Dave Loughran at Lafayette_D, joined by Joshua Engleman at Josh Engleman. What's up, brother? How you feeling? 12-game action today.
Shock to that person couldn't even follow a simple GPS. I'm good, man. It's a Friday, August 18th. Good times all around. Really nice slate. Instead of yesterday's garbage, what turned into a 3-gamer where there were basically no runs scored. Just an awful day for DFS yesterday. So it's nice to get back to normal for today. I'm ready to talk baseball.
Yeah, me too, man. Happy you guys are with us. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe to the already 32 thumbs up and we just got started. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Gonna break it all down here. Give you the most, comprehensive and concise information that we can early in the morning today. Big slate on a Friday, going into the weekend. I'm actually off next week, so this is my last day on for a little while. Should be fun.
Good riddance. Good riddance.
Yeah, man. Tell me about it.
You going somewhere?
Yeah, we're going to Virginia Beach with the family and everything.
Okay.
We had other places we were going to go, but one, I just no interest in flying with a 2-year-old right now. Like I see people do it all the time.
I hate flying with my wife.
I see people do it all the time. And then they're just like, oh, the flight was terrible. There's plenty of places I can drive to. It's to me, not worth it. My wife's six months pregnant around, not worth it. So
your kid starts crying on that flight. It's going right into the overhead bin.
Yeah. Oh, I would tell her too. I'd be like, you keep crying, you're going up there.
Or under the seat in front of you. One of the two.
She's funny though, because she knows I mess with her. So that's the problem. She's at that age now where I'll say that and she'll be like, want to go up there? I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. But
calling your bluff.
What's that?
She's calling your bluff.
You call dude all the time. It's like, Daddy, put me up there. No.
I'll go to jail.
You know what else is cool? It's a nice place. It's right on the beach, that private pool, but I can bring my dog.
Nice.
Yeah, you know how that goes, man. I won't put my dog in a kennel, and
we will board our dog here because we'll get like the deluxe. You basically get like a hotel type joint.
Yeah,
it's also our vet too. Our boarding and daycare is at our vet, so even if anything happens, they're able to be like treated, which helps
for sure. Yeah. So but it's cool that we can bring her. For her with a kennel, she's weird. We adopted her. Like, she's a great dog, but she has that weird anxiety around people she doesn't know.
Sure.
So, that makes it a little bit easier. The drive will probably suck, and then you got to go under that Chesapeake Bay Tunnel Bridge. The one that, have you ever been on that?
No.
It's like 30 miles or whatever. And it's a bridge, but then it goes under, turns into a tunnel, comes back up to a bridge, goes back under to a tunnel.
How long do you got to hold your breath? That sounds hard.
Pretty intense, dude. It's pretty intense. I've never done it, but I watched the time-lapse video of somebody do it, and it is intense. Anyway, should be fun. Are you ready to get into some baseball here?
I am. We got a solid 12-gamer.
Yeah, man. Boston and New York, by the way, the only game we don't have a line on yet. So
I got a made up one if you want it.
Yeah, because the assumption here is that it's Brian Bayo and it's Brito, right? Like, that's the assumption.
That sounds right to me. Brito, yeah. Bayo. Yeah, I had the line when I made it this morning. Red Sox minus 135, 8.8 run total. So nothing crazy, like a pretty tame game, all things considered. 4.8 run implied total for the Red Sox, 4 for the Yankees is where I'm estimating right now.
All right. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Toga. I live in southeast, outside of Philly. So it'd be like 5.5 hours. Not too bad. All right. Let's get into Boston and New York then. There are, if you're just looking at pitching on this slate, just to set the table, Strider's going up against Sam Fram. I know he left a sour taste in people's mouth 2 starts ago, bounced back last time. Of course, he's very expensive. And then you have Woodruff against Texas, Pablo Lopez against Pittsburgh, Sandy Alcantara against the Dodgers, Michael Lorenzen against Washington. Yes, he's coming off that no-hitter, but, he's 9,200 now. I just want your quick thoughts on pitching on this slate, because it does seem like some of the highest priced guys, and there aren't that many of them, are in pretty difficult spots or might be a little bit overpriced.
Yeah, it's not a great day for pitching.
Okay.
Strider obviously looks fantastic like he normally does, but he's 12-7, so you're paying for that fantasticness. I think if you're going anywhere else at the top, it's probably Pablo Lopez, which we'll dig into. But as you work your way down, I don't really see any good value. So like, I don't know, maybe Seth Lugo at 7,500 or Andrew Heaney at 7,700. But going even further down than that, it's pretty bleak. It's a really gross pitching slate for today. I'm very anxious to see how it shakes out with ownership, because I think I'm going to end up having an absolute ton of Spencer Strider, because I don't think that I'm going to have any other path, which leads me to think that I'll have an extra large amount of cores because it's pretty cost effective today.
Yeah. I mean, 12 run total there. Should both teams, I mean, I assume both teams have a total around 6 in that, right?
What was that? Say that again. Sorry, I was reading.
I said both teams in cores have a total around or north of 6, I would think.
Yeah, I got it at 6.1 for the Sox, 5.9 for the Rockies. So you're spot on.
So, all right. Let's do this then. Boston and New York, kick it off with pitching. Where do you start here? Do you have any interest in Bello against against the Yankees today? It is at Yankee Stadium too, which isn't exactly a pitcher-friendly venue.
So as I look at these guys right now, I've got Johnny Brito 4% to be a top 2 pitcher. I got Brian Bello to be 8% as a top 2 pitcher. So Bello certainly looks a little bit better on the surface, but we're talking about a very different price tag. 8,500 for Bello, 5,800 for Brito. I'm guessing I won't have much here. Somewhere in the 5 to 10% range for Bello seems fine. I don't get the sense that we'd be going to Brito all that much here against Boston. So if we're doing anything, it's probably a low level amount of Brian Bello.
Okay. And on the other side, any Brito?
No, I don't think you can do that. He doesn't project all that well. It's certainly a better side here for Boston. The Parks plays up power in a pretty big way. He's not any better or worse than all the other shit at the bottom from a pitching standpoint today. Right. I just don't, I don't think that area is going to be what you're looking for. I mean, we're talking about a guy who this season, 194 x ISO to righties, 250 to lefties. He's only thrown about 1,000 pitches, but he's gotten bludgeoned for every one.
Even Leibowitz. That would be funny. What about bats? It is Yankee Stadium. You have it at an 8.5 run total. That's where you have it. Yeah. That's probably where it's. I mean, nine seems reasonable too in a game like this. But I mean, I'm really just splitting hairs at this point.
Yeah, and it's not going to make the Yankees look all that good. It can make Boston look a little bit better because obviously they're not the ones facing Brian Bello. They're going to have the higher run total. I have them as the, like I said, minus 135 for the Red Sox. So I think they're going to be the favorites in this one. But I don't exactly think anybody looks fantastic. I mean, someone like Rafael Devers for 5,300, he's the best play on Boston just because it's a lefty against the righty in Brito who has a lot of trouble getting strikes or strikeouts in a park that's got a 121 park factor to lefties. So even if it's not just Devers, if it's Tristan Casas or Verdugo or Yoshida, the lefty power here against New York really stands out for Boston. I'm very happy to get to the Red Sox. I have Boston. If my line is correct, if I'm a little low, this could jump. I have them as the number 7 stack for today.
Okay. Listen, Johnny Brito, 476 pitches against lefties this year, 250 x ISO, 373 x WOBA. Not great.
No, not at all.
Like those are bad numbers, especially at this, lefty friendly Yankee Stadium. That could be ugly for him today. So I'm with you. Philly and Washington, Lorenzen and what did we decide on? Johan Adon?
Joan.
Yeah.
It's Joan, man. It's just Joan. He's a grown man. He's got to deal with it now. If it was a 9-year-old kid, I'd want to get it right. But it's Joan. You're Joan.
I want to go with Joan Adon.
Sure. I'm fine with it.
I think that has a nice ring to it. Michael Lorenzen versus Joan Adon.
It's 9
just Joan. Total. Philly, big favorites, minus 198 on the money line in Washington. listen, here's all I'm saying about Lorenzen. The guy's not a bad pitcher, but the strikeouts, he's not an elite strikeout pitcher either. He has looked good. And even before coming to Philly, he had pitched well. 2 starts with Philly, he's been excellent. Do you want to pay 9,200 though for a guy who has, and by the way, that no-hitter was against Washington, but do you want to pay 9,200 for a guy that doesn't have elite strikeout stuff, but also is facing a team that doesn't strike out much?
No, not at all. I think he probably looks like a slightly more expensive Brian Bayo today. Park isn't great. Matchup for strikeouts isn't great. He's not a strikeout guy. He's just like a completely average pitcher. He doesn't get strikeouts. He doesn't get like aggressively tagged. He doesn't do anything really well. Righties don't really hit him all that hard. And so like, it's a good spot for him in terms of he probably doesn't get bombed here, but I don't really see a massive ceiling for Lorenzen either.
It's tough, right? That's tough.
If he throws another no-hitter, then yeah, he's going to look fantastic.
Yeah, or just continues to pitch ridiculously deep into games where the strikeouts aren't as necessary.
Yeah, exactly. There's not,
which is doable against Washington. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he can't do it.
It is for sure. It's just it's really uneventful, and like clearly you're not going to Joan either.
Pretty awesome that Rob Thompson let him throw 124 pitches last game, though.
I mean, like if you're Michael Lorenzen, you're begging for that. It's like, okay, I'm not this 21-year-old flame-throwing phenom that
right.
Like it's just man, I might never throw a no-hitter again. Like I want this one. I don't care what happens. If I never throw again, cool.
Yeah. Dude, some of the best pitchers in the history of the game have never thrown no-hitters. Does Kershaw have any no-hitters?
No, I don't know. There was a time in my life where I used to know all these things. I don't know them anymore.
I'm just thinking, like, some of the best pitchers like that are still in the game.
It's probably a lot.
2014. He has one. And it was 9 years ago. That's what I mean. That's pretty crazy.
I had no idea that he had one.
Me neither. Oh wow, Verlander has 3 of them. All right, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
I wouldn't have known that.
Me neither. That's why I'm looking.
But up until I was like 13, I probably could have told you every one that happened from 1991 to the time I was 13.
Yeah, because you love that stuff, and then it stops being as important for sure.
Yeah, then I had to like get a job.
Yeah. No, it's not pronounced the same as what we're joking. It's not Juan. It's
Joan.
It's Yoan. It's Yoan.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. It's Yoan Adon.
It's been Joan my life.
It's Joan Adon.
Joan Adon.
What about Philly bats against old Joni A?
They're okay. They're the number 3 stack in my model right now, 10th in value. So they're 4th in my stack score. Whether you're going to the lefties like Schwarber and Harper, who clearly stand out, that's going to work pretty well. The run total is great. The park is great. The matchup's great. I don't even mind really going to some of the righties like Alec Boehm, first, third, 4,300. I like the top of the Phillies lineup here. There's just a lot of power to be had. And anytime that the Phillies are going to face someone named Joan, I just assume it's going to go well. 248 X ISO to lefties for Joan over the past over 710 pitches. Even if that doesn't hold and it comes down a little bit, he has gotten absolutely annihilated by left-handed hitting. And Philly, between Harper and Schwarber, one of those dudes, and Jake Cave to a degree, if he's playing at 2,200 with an MPE, is going to absolutely wreck Joan.
720 Red Dog. Ask Engleman about his thoughts on self-checkouts because robots can do it better, right? Listen, if we're being completely honest, self-checkout is so much better. I only do self-checkout when I go to the store. Only.
Well, of course, all of these things are going to be better. I don't care if it ruins the life of somebody else. It's everything that's ever happened in life has done this in some way. I bet people were really mad that tractors were really efficient for farmers. Well, we're going to stop using horses to drag this plow. It's like, well, yeah, because everything's going to get better. Tough shit.
You are right. Like AI worries me. It actually does. There's a level of AI that concerns me, but stuff, but stuff like self-check, all this, it is easier. It does make my, I went to
It's
CVS.
the goal. It's our entire life goal to be so efficient that we don't have to do the jobs that we don't want to do.
Went to CVS, get some 5-hour energy, of course, the other day. And there was nobody at the front desk. You know what I did? I just, which I would have done anyway, went to the self-checkout, which then it told me
all I do.
Which then it told me it needed to be 18 or older. So then they had to get somebody to come down and put a birthday in, but you get the point. Anyway.
Do you normally go to someone to check you out if you're at the grocery store, or do you do self-checkout?
No, I just said I only do self-checkout. And if we do a full order, we just have it, like my wife just puts the order in online. I park, they bring it out to the car. Now, I will say this much. I watch grown men sit in the driver's seat while like a teenage girl loads it into their trunk. Never happened. I get out, I open the trunk, and I put all the groceries into my car. I'm not.
Depends what I got.
Like, thanks, hun. I'm not doing that. But
if it's 2 bags where it's just like
that's different. That's different. But I'm saying
if you got like a case of water and shit,
yeah. If it's 2 bags, I'm going in and I'm self-checkout. If it's a lot, which like every week we do a huge order, we order it, I go up, they throw it in the back, and I get out, and I'm 30 cases of 36 bottled water. I'm not having her put. I watch people do that. They sit in their car on their phone and stuff. I'm not a fan of that. I'll tell you that much. But
self-checkout is the only way to do it. The idea of going to getting in line at the grocery store is panic-inducing for me.
Oh yeah, I'm fluid with the self-checkout too.
Yeah.
Like
the people that aren't, there's a special place in hell for the people that show up in that line and they're just like winging it.
Yep. I'll go in there, one hand, double click the home screen, Face ID, boom, pay while I'm hitting checkout on the screen. You know what I mean? I'm going double hand. Yeah. I'm double hand in the process. It's almost like I almost want to see how fast I can do it sometimes.
Yeah. Me too. I mean, I'm ready for the Whole Foods thing to be everywhere, where you just toss your shit in the cart and it calculates whatever's in your cart and you just walk right out when it's over.
Amazon.
Yeah, Whole Foods.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. But I don't know. I look around, I'm like, yeah, I know they saw that. I know they're impressed. It's the fastest self-checkout they've ever seen in their life, John.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty low bar.
Anything else for Philly and Washington?
Unless it's what's that movie with Dane Cook and Jessica Simpson?
The employee of the month.
Yeah. That's the only one. That's the only time in my life where I've seen like, I mean, I guess Costco. Do you go to Costco?
We go like once a month. It's a hellish place. I tweeted this the other day. You go on a weekend, that place is the epitome of hell. However, there's certain things there, paper products specifically, toilet paper, paper towels, that type of stuff, best from Costco.
You have to.
They have to. The Kirkland toilet paper, I'll go to the grave. You know what I mean? It's the best. Some of the meats are great, good price, but I don't shop there daily. Like weekly, we go to our local place, and then once a month we go and load up on stuff at Costco.
Generally speaking, the Costco people that are checking you out are talented item scanners.
Fast, man.
They don't mess around. So that's what made me think about Dane Cook. Like that's a different level, but they're also paying those people more money.
Right. Oh, dude, the people at
it's a higher quality job to work at Costco.
The people at the Giant that I work, I don't let them bag my stuff. It's horrible. Anyway.
Yeah. It's like loaf of bread in first, 2 liters of Pepsi on top. And it's like, what are you thinking here?
Yeah. Dak Shepard, an employee of the month, was phenomenal, by the way. So
he's phenomenal in everything.
I know. And Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite was his little sidekick in that.
I forgot about that. Yeah. All I remember is Dane Cook showing up in like a go-kart or something at the end of the movie. Like a child's toy.
San Fran in Atlanta, Alex Cobb, Spencer Strider. I'm no joke. I feel like this is the first time in a month and a half that I've seen a total below 10 in an Atlanta game.
Yeah, that's just a testament to like how good Alex Cobb is at limiting. I was going to say,
well, Strider obviously, but also Alex Cobb. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Alex Cobb helps to limit the Braves to like a 5-run implied total. Right, holds them below their averages.
Because the Atlanta Braves here are still minus 230 on the money line.
They just dominate Always. It's
what do you think of
crazy.
Strider today with price in mind, obviously?
We just got our ownership update 30 seconds ago, so I'm going to pop that in here just to actually have a little bit more of a talking point for us. Just give me 1 second.
All right. By the way, 720 Red Dog said, never let people pick your produce for you. Nothing bothers my wife more than that. Whenever we do have those orders, they don't even, because it's teenagers. They don't give a shit. Because
they don't know how to buy produce. They've never bought produce in their lives.
They don't know what they're looking at. The strawberries have mold. The lettuce is
snozberries taste like snozberries.
Yeah, Justine hates that, man.
I'm going to circle back quickly to the previous two games. I don't have any stacks of the Yankees. I don't have any stacks of the Red Sox. I don't really have the pitching for either team. For Nats and Phillies, relatively limited to both of those teams for hitting, but I am getting to the lefties for Philadelphia. No real stands on the pitching there either. And then we get to Atlanta and San Francisco, and it's a Spencer Strider day. So he's 12,700. That is clearly a pretty big price tag, something you need to deal with. Is he the best pitcher in baseball? Probably, or at the very least, somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm pulling it up now to check and see what his strikeout prop is, because I have him projected pretty high, and I want to see if I'm right. Spencer Strider strikeout prop for today. The line is, I'm way high. 8.5 is the line, -130 on the under.
Really?
Yeah, I've got the over there right now. So 30% ownership for Strider right now. I think that's spot on. I've got his optimal rate around 35%. So I think he's pulling the right amount of ownership. It is going to be a spot where I take a stand and just try to lock in some Spencer Strider. I think I guess I don't want to say the more interesting spot, because I don't really have any interest in Cobb at 7,900. He's not that kind of guy. But I do want to point out that I think he has completely neutralized the Atlanta offense for today, and I find them to be very difficult to get to.
Yeah, that's the thing, too, because you're not getting a big discount anyway.
No. But look, over the past 2 years, 120 x ISO to lefties, 129 x ISO to righties. He doesn't give up power to anybody. Like, people just don't hit him all that hard. And he does strike out righties a little bit. So, like, that'll play up a little bit for him. I don't think you should not be going to Alex Cobb today. It's just not going to feel good to go up against Atlanta. But I think he completely removes Atlanta from being an interesting team to get to.
So both sides of that, then, just unappealing is what you're saying.
I think the whole game is death, other than Strider.
Okay, yeah. And Humble, of course I return my card. You're a scumbag if you don't return your card.
Oh my God, there's nothing that makes... I love seeing... there's like a trend of, TikTok type videos of people like talking shit to the people that leave their carts in the middle of the parking lot.
There's a guy, he's
or like going and like putting it behind their...
or something.
He'll like put it behind their car when they go to pull out.
The cart narc, yeah. That's
that should absolutely be... Everyone should do that.
Those
people are awful.
Material.
Yeah. Yes. If you ever want to know how to do this, just park near the cart return.
I do it every time. I seek it out. And if not, I'll still walk it down and go, all right, fine. Yeah, it's scumbag status to take your car and throw it up against the curb.
I hate it. Or just leave it in the spot next to you. Like, you're an idiot.
And then a gust of wind rolls it into somebody's car. You don't care. You're gone. Yeah.
If you're the type of person that will leave your cart in the middle of the parking lot, I know what type of person you are in all facets of your life.
You know what? While I didn't agree with you yesterday, I 100% agree with you on that. That is a symptom of a greater issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 100%. Just so inconsiderate to other people.
And it takes 15 seconds tops.
Yeah, if you had to take it like all the way back to the store, I'd be like, I understand why people do this. That's an inconvenience. They're everywhere in every parking lot.
I would say the people that don't return their cards are a very high likelihood that they don't brush their teeth more than twice a week either. Because that's an inconvenience. Am I wrong? Like,
what do you think they do for a living?
The people that don't return their cards?
Yeah.
No. Am I wrong though?
No, I'm with you.
Yeah. It's like the little inconveniences you don't like doing. They just got a mouthful of rock. All right. Yeah. Milwaukee and Texas. By the way, Glad you guys are with us on a Friday hanging out. Thank you for indulging us. And it's a Friday. It's the end of the week. You know, sometimes you got to let loose a little bit. Hit that thumbs up too. Also, I'll get to it in a second, but Underdog's got a legitimate free square tomorrow. Legitimate free square, like not discount or anything. Legit free square we'll talk about. But Milwaukee and Texas, Brandon Woodruff and Andrew Heaney. All right, let's dive into this. Evenly matched game. Milwaukee plus 100 on the road, 8-run total. I think that's actually the lowest on this slate. It is. Woodruff making what, his third start since he came back on August 6th. First off, at that price point against this Texas team in Texas, what do you do with Woodruff? And then what do you do with a guy like Andrew Heaney, he's an enigma. He's unpredictable. Once in a while, you'll just get stellar games from him, and then he'll blow up and get torched. Where are we going with Heaney and Woodruff on both sides of this game?
I think you got to get to Heaney. 7,700 for him is it's a price tag that you can't overlook. Now, is he a different guy lately? Yeah, he is. 26% K rate to lefties, 25% to righties. It used to be a little bit higher, a little bit more extreme, but he's buying you out of that with this price tag today. And that's what is really the appealing piece here. So 7,700, he's 17% owned. That's about what I have. Now we're a little bit lighter on him in the top two pitchers tool, 10% pitcher, 11% value, but it's the value piece that's helping. That's pulling him up. So I think he's about appropriately owned. He's just a really easy guy to get to. Brandon Woodruff, on the other hand, 10,900. It's a tough park to want to go into. Decent enough strikeout matchup, although with Semien and Seager at the top of the lineup, it really does become a bit problematic. There's just heavy strikeouts towards the bottom. It's just, I would rather spend $1,800 more and get to Spencer Strider. There's nothing wrong with Woodruff, but you're paying basically the full freight to go to a guy that's not even in really a good spot.
I know. Yeah. And yeah, that's an expensive. A lot of these guys up top today are either overpriced or overpriced in difficult matchups. Makes it kind of tough to get there to a lot of them.
It's so true.
Do you like Milwaukee bats against Heaney or Texas bats against? I mean, I think Texas bats against Woodruff are still pretty unappealing, but what about some of these Milwaukee bats against Heaney, just knowing his proclivities?
I don't hate the idea of going that direction if you want to try to bet on him giving up, the aggressive power to righties, to 187 xISO over the past two seasons to righties. So if we're talking about William Contreras, even Mark Canha or Carlos Santana, Willie Adames, Tyrone Taylor, lots of righty power here for Milwaukee. So I don't mind getting there. I have a few Brewers 5-mans for tonight's slate, but I think they're appropriately owned in like the middle of the pack. There's nothing that really stands out because Heaney does have talent too. It's not a great spot. Park helps a little bit. They are a little sneaky because there's no ownership coming into these guys outside of William Contreras, and he's only getting it because he's a catcher. I don't want to go to Texas. You mentioned that, and that was correct.
Pittsburgh and Minnesota. Andre Jackson, Pablo Lopez. All right, so Pablo Lopez is one that we could probably talk about here. We've got him pulling more ownership than anyone on the slate right now at 10-6 against Pittsburgh. I mean, it's not a bad matchup. Is it the best strikeout matchup? No, but Pablo Lopez, very good pitcher, a lot cheaper than Strider. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's any Spencer Strider, but he's good. He limits runs at a, near elite level, and he's got good enough strikeout stuff as well. Where are you landing on Pablo Lopez right now?
Lower than I thought I would. I think he's pretty clearly the second best overall pitcher behind Strider. I think he's way ahead of Brandon Woodruff just because it's the Pirates on the opposite side. They stink. There are some strikeouts to be had here too. I'm a little surprised that I am not getting to him the way that I thought that I would, but I think 31% ownership is a little high. Like, I just think that Spencer Strider is a much better option than Lopez. If you're paying up for one, I'd rather just pay more for Strider. I don't think that's much of an issue on a 13-game slate. I'm pulling it up now to see where Pablo Lopez's strikeout prop lands because I want to see where that is in relationship to Strider. Lopez
for 6.5. It's going to be 6.5. No, Lopez.
You're not even in the ballpark. 8.5 minus 150. So basically the same strikeout prop today for Lopez as it is for Strider.
Wait, Pablo Lopez has an 8.5 strikeout prop?
That's what I said. For the record, I have it projected for 6.7. So I am looking at this a little bit more like you are.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say maybe I'm a little down at 7.5. Fine. You said it's juiced to the under, right?
It is minus 150 to the under. So it's probably projecting something in that like 7.6, 7.7 range.
I don't know. I mean, look, he's great, but in this spot, I would have said like 6.5 minus 140 to the over or something like that.
Yeah. So with that strikeout projection, he looks a little bit better than what I'm saying. We'll see where that ends up towards the end of the day. I don't want to make these opinions now, but I do feel like he's a little bit overowned. Not to say that this isn't a great spot for all things Pablo Lopez. Feels really safe. Price tag seems fine. I would just prefer to get to Spencer Strider. I really want to see what those strikeout props look like at 5 or 6 o'clock tonight, especially after we get some lineups, because I think that's a really important distinction. You need Strider to be projecting a bit higher in strikeouts today to make that price difference work.
How about bats in this game?
Got a little bit of the Twins here against Andre Jackson. It's a pretty neutral park across the board. It's neutral for runs. It's 103 park factor to righties and lefties for power. They're 9th in top stack. They are 1st in top value. I have them 3rd in value. We'll get to that in a little bit. I think Coors is a little bit better value than what you're getting from Minnesota, but these guys are cheap. 4,600 for Jorge Polanco with an MPE is your most expensive Twin in the projected lineup right now. Otherwise, it's $4,500 Correa. After that, you're in the 3Ks and lower, 3,300 and lower, in fact. So I have 10 5-man stacks of the Twins. I certainly think they look interesting. Because I have so much Strider, a team like the Twins immediately looks a little bit more interesting because of how good of a value they are.
Seattle and Houston. Oh, I mentioned that free square. Yeah, Underdog, massive free square coming up. And it's good through tomorrow as well. Love this one, man. Anthony Richardson over half a total yard. Over half a total yard for Richardson. I'll tell you what, number one, I've been doing all the preseason betting content, so I love this stuff. I love that Underdog actually has props for preseason football, which are beatable, by the way. So is preseason betting. Their pick'ems contests are awesome. Up to 5 legs, 20x. But you're getting a free square. Not to mention first match deposit bonus, 100% up to $100. Underdog's huge because they got the $15 million best ball tournament, $3 million to first place, $20 to enter. Not to mention they've got the other ones too, like the puppy, which is $5 to enter. I look at it like this: you throw $100 in, Josh, because that's 150 max on the puppy. Say the $5 one, that gives you what, 20 entries, and now you're doubling your bankroll out of the gate. You've got 40 entries into that. Or you're just doubling all of your pick'em entries. Site-wide special at Underdog. Anthony Richardson over half a total yard in a preseason game. I know you do a lot of the stuff with Prize Picks and the pick'em sites. When you're getting these free squares and locking in a play that you already know is like 99.9% to hit in an instance like this, what does that do for the card overall?
Oh, it's massive. It's Let's give an example. Let's say you're making a 5-play card. And let's just say, for example, you think that each one of those plays is 60% to win, which is probably a little aggressive, but I think it's fine. So you got 5 plays that are 60% to win, which means for all 5 of them to hit, that happens like once every 7.5% of the time, something like that. 1 out of every 13, that's what you'd be looking at in that scenario. But if you just take one of those 60% and call it, what do you want to say for Anthony Richardson? 99, 98?
Yeah, 99%, yeah.
We'll go 99 for right now. You just make that switch. And instead of it being like a 13-1 chance to win that 5-pick card, it becomes like an 8-1 chance. You do it you're almost twice as likely to get all of that right. That's how much better things get just on the surface, ignoring like other ways to use it, different pick setups, however you want to utilize that piece. If you're just looking to make one 5-pick card, you're coming close to doubling your odds of getting that right.
Yeah. And even if you're like, you know what, I just going to try and lock in money. If you went with a 2-pick card,
yeah,
now it's essentially 60% chance to win. You just need to win one, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, that changes dramatically. You're 36% to win a 2-pick card if you think both of them are 60% to win. You're 60% to win a 2-pick card if you use that free square.
Yep. Link in the description and in chat. I play on Underdog all the time. I love their daily drafts. The daily drafts are awesome because you can, like every week for NFL, you can draft every day for basketball and baseball. Neil and I were doing a lot of videos on that. They have the pick'em format, best ball. Let's be completely honest. I mean, Underdog is massive now.
Yeah.
And for good reason. Get in now, 100% first match deposit bonus up to $100 plus Anthony Richardson free square. Plug that in your cards and do not miss out. Link in the description and in the chat. All right, let's keep this one rolling here. We've got Seattle and Houston, Josh. Bryce Miller, JP France, 8.5 run total. Seattle on the road plus 124 on the money line. Just looking at ownership here for this game. Bryce Miller against Houston, 1%. JP France, we do have around 10%. There is strikeout upside here. Are you buying into this near 9K price tag for him today?
Kinda. I think 9% chance to be a top 2 pitcher. I had it at 11. He's 10% owned. I have him as 10% optimal. I have around 10%. I think that's just sort of where it should show up. There's enough strikeouts here in the Seattle lineup that he looks fine. I think it's just like a totally reasonable amount of ownership. He's just a guy on the slate, but he's a guy that is a part of the list of dudes that you should get to. Here's the easiest way to describe what JP France is for today. We have 6 pitchers that have double digits of projected ownership. JP France is one of those guys. That's the easiest way to look.
We have 7. 7. But
did we get an update since we started the show?
Hold on.
I assumed we didn't, but if we got 2 of them in the last 15 minutes, that would be fitting.
Well, it was 7, but maybe yours updated more recent than mine.
I got it 31. The original update was 31 seconds.
I mean, oh, you know why? You know why? Because we have Gavin Williams in there.
Oh, okay. That'll do it.
That's why. I was just looking on the site. Okay, so
there you go. Yeah, six for the slate.
Yep. Well, I'm saying,
like he's a guy you got to pay attention to then.
For sure. Yeah, 10%, almost 9% optimal or top 2 percentage. Makes sense to me. I assume no interest in pitching on the other side with Miller, right?
No, he's uneventful.
Do you like Houston bats against him, or is it because we can be kind of discriminate, right? Or like when it comes to what teams we want to load up on and what pitchers. We do have 12 games.
So I have minimal amounts of both teams. It's a talent play if you want to go to this one. Like, they don't grade out well. The Astros are 13th in top stack. The Mariners are 18th. Neither team is pulling any real ownership. The highest owned hitter from either the Astros or the Mariners is 3% owned. If you want to just simply pick one of these 2 teams because they're good on paper, that's why you're going to the Astros or Mariners today. There's nothing in the data that's going to make them stand out as a primary play. There's just too many other really top-end options today. But if you ever want to bet on Alex Bregman, Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh as a catcher, go for it. Those guys are all incredibly talented and they're unowned on a 12-game slate. But neither one of these teams looks good.
No, they don't. With the Mets and the Cardinals, though, and we can pull the top stack tool up here and take a look at this. Obviously, your top stack probabilities for the White Sox and the Rockies are up there. We have Boston pretty high as well, but that'll change once that total comes back down to a more reasonable level. Once we actually get odds on that game, that'll look different. But you have the Mets against Zach Thompson, 3% top stack probability. St. Louis is, what do we have St. Louis at? 4% against Joey Lucchesi. So, I mean, these teams are kind of just there today, even though the Cardinals are getting a little bit of ownership.
I'm a big Cardinals guy for today. I've got 25 mans. I'm 2xing the field currently. Really? I mean, we've got Nolan Arenado projected for 1% ownership against the lefty Lucchesi in a game where the Cardinals have a 5-run implied total. Sign me up for Nolan Arenado unowned. Look, Lucchesi doesn't have the biggest sample in the world, hasn't thrown a lot over the past couple of years, probably because he sucks. 22% K rate to righties over the past 3 seasons. That's enough to give me 810 pitches. If you've only thrown 810 pitches in the past 3 seasons, like I'm using as much as I can. 217 X ISO to righties in that time. Cardinals are running out what looks like it's going to be 9 righties against the lefty and Lucchesi. I expect them to blast New York here. We have them 8th in top stack. I have them 5th. I'm more interested in St. Louis, especially because the Cardinals park 77 park factor for lefties, 95 to righties. So if it's going to kill lefty power, doesn't really matter to me when you're going to run out 9 righties against the lefty and Lucchesi. I think the Cardinals get there early and often today.
All right. Now, I do want to just jump to the other side of this one before we move on to the next game.
Yeah.
With Zach Thompson here. So 25-year-old lefty. He's what, 25 innings this season. Only one of them as a start. Has limited power. It's tough, in my opinion, sometimes to get a read on these guys who pitch in relief and then are making a start. Like, he has a 31% K rate, Josh.
Yeah.
277 xFIP. What do you think as a starter we should be, not today, but rest of season, projecting someone like Zach Thomas for as a starter and not as a relief pitcher?
So based on the starter projections that I have for Steamer, they project Zach Thompson with a 20% K rate as a starter, a 13% walk rate, and a 475 FIP. So he does not look good on paper.
Yeah, just going from the bullpen to starter position, it's way different.
Yeah. Now, he's been good from like a stuff perspective in the past as the reliever, but righties here, like, he hasn't given up a ton of power in his career, so maybe he's able to limit that. But the righties for the Mets, whether that's going to be Lindor, Alonso, Francisco Alvarez, they certainly look good individually. I am getting to some of the Mets on that side, but I'm not getting to nearly as much Mets as I am to St. Louis. And I think that's just because I think Zach Thompson might be a little bit better than Joey Lucchesi.
That's fair. Yeah, we don't know really what he's going to look like over the course of the rest of, like, if he continues to start. Maybe he deals. Who knows? Maybe the K rate comes down, but he's at 25%, and he's still good.
Maybe that walk rate that I mentioned is wrong, and he doesn't just put guys on constantly.
Yeah. What's his walk rate now? 11%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Coors Field, baby. White Sox, Colorado Rockies, Michael Kopech, Peter Lambert. 12-run total for this game. Both teams implied totals, like I said earlier, at or around 6. Both of them, 1 and 2 in top stack probability. I'm not counting Boston right now because I know that'll change once we get an official line. But it's going to be popular. 12-run total. There's going to be a lot of ownership going here. I doubt there's going to be a whole lot of ownership going to these pitchers. But let's talk about this for a second, because when you look at somebody like Michael Kopech, do you think this is one of those spots that could be very, very bad for him?
Oh yeah,
like and
sure do.
Let me just hold on. Let me clarify for a second. Obviously, most pitchers in Coors, it's not good. What I'm saying is 2.01 home runs per 9. I know it's a cavernous ballpark, but still, like, when you're allowing that type of power, 35% ground ball rate. So certain pitchers might not be great, but if he's like a league average, maybe a little bit worse, but he's garnering 55% ground balls, you go, okay, maybe he gets out of this, right? But Michael Kopech, the type of pitcher he is, this profiles terribly for Coors Field.
Yeah, 251 X ISO this season, 194 X ISO to righties. He's in trouble. Obviously, don't roster the pitchers here. That should be no surprise. And these are clearly the two, at least to me, the 2 top teams that you can get to today. White Sox ahead of the Rockies. But as I look at the Rockies, I've got 22 5-man Rocky stacks. That makes me about neutral to Colorado. I have 32 5-man White Sox stacks, brings me in a little bit north of the field for Chicago. I just don't see a scenario where you're not going here. We're playing up runs. We're at least playing up a little bit of power. Michael Kopech certainly plays up power on the opposite side. Now, Colorado doesn't have a ton of it, but it's certainly going to look a little bit better. And it's not as if Peter Lambert on the opposite side is some guy you want to get to. 173 X ISO to lefties this year, 238 to righties. we should expect a ton of potential power in this game. I don't really see a path to avoiding it. There's a reason that this game is as popular as it is, and it should be. They're the two best teams you can get to. I think the White Sox are very obviously better than the Rockies, but that's not to say that you shouldn't get to Colorado. This will be the game I have the most of. I don't really see a way around it.
Yeah, 2.6 home runs per 9 at home this year for Peter Lambert. Only 24 in the third innings pitched, but that's not great. 20% K rate, 11% walk rate. Jeez. 6.59 FIP, 52% hard hit rate.
Here comes the 2-1 game.
You know it will. Like that Wrigley win game the other day, Clevenger goes out and deals his best start of the season.
It's infuriating.
It happens sometimes, man.
It does. That's baseball. Like, could you imagine if we had a game where like LeBron went out there and played 34 minutes and had like 1.1 rebound and no assists? Like that's
right. Like
what happened?
A bad game for LeBron there is like 38 fantasy points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, that sucks. But yeah, 11. Like, no, that can't actually happen.
No, not with playing time.
It actually, unless it's some form of protest, it's pretty much impossible.
Yeah.
Not in baseball.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Play the Rockies, play the White Sox, play it all. I got nothing to add here.
And play using the lineup generator too, man. It's $4.48 for your first week. I don't know. I can't say enough good things about this tool. And it always pleases me to see people like in the Discord and on Twitter. There was one yesterday that's like, I'm away from my computer today. They were asking a question about the lineup generator. They're just getting lineups from their phone. They hadn't even looked at the slate. And that doesn't mean like it's for people that don't want to research or look at the slate, but it's going to build plus EV lineups for you. You can discard the ones you don't like. You can save the ones that you love. You can upload them straight to CSV to DraftKings or FanDuel. Makes your life so much easier. Once you save the ones you like, you can see all of your individual player exposures listed nicely. Jordan can run it on the screen right now and show you. You can see all of your stack exposures, right? So if you have 20 teams and 7 different stacks, or even maybe 4 or 5, you can see all the exposure to the stacks, what they look like. You can lock players and swap players, although I suggest against that in most cases. You can see this is crazy too. You can see the optimal projection for every lineup. You can also see how chalky every lineup is. You can decide what type of stacks you want, whether you want to go with all 4-man, 5-mans, whether you want chalky lineups, whether you want contrarian lineups or all lineups across the board. It's just like, this is not a $4.58 tool, even for your first week in a promotional trial. It's just not.
It's such a great deal right now, whether you just want the lineup generator or want that full MLB package with that promo code. Like, you're just, it's the best. It's the best tool by far for the average person stepping into DFS. Like, to just get lineups that are generated in a much better fashion than the hand build that you were going to do is immediately improving you. And if you want to check out the further stuff, a couple extra bucks, still less than $10 to get projections and ownership and boom busts and top stacks and all that good stuff. It's too good of a deal right now. And there's nothing else going on. It's baseball season, man. Dude, come join us for a little bit. If you're looking to play some baseball, we've got the perfect deal right now.
Yeah, man. 50% off everything. You want to do the lineup generator, or like Josh said, you want to just do all of our baseball tools plus the lineup generator, which is included in that. First week of that is less than $10 a week. Less than $10. You'll see it in the description. You'll see lineup generator. You want to hit that. Or if you're looking to hit the other one, it's in there. It says 50% off your first week. That's baseball. Or if you wanted every sport, you're like, oh, I want some MMA and some PGA this week too. I want all of Matt's preseason projections for football. That's a great price too. 50% straight off the top. Lineup generator. Also, PGA lineup generators in that if you do all of them, and the premium Discord. So yeah, you're right. That's for sure a better deal. But if it's somebody that's just playing a couple bucks a day, lineup generator, huge. Just a massive difference it makes. And we've seen the results from everybody who's used it, and it makes me happy. So links to all of that in the description and in the chat. Let's talk about Tampa and the LA Angels here. Erasmo Ramirez, Tyler Anderson, 9.5 run total. My guess is that you're not getting the much Ramirez at $5,000.
You would be correct.
What about Anderson on the other side? Any of that? Tough
No.
spot.
Like I have 3%, but that's not me saying that you should play Tyler Anderson. He's just not an immediate cross off, but he probably
we have him
should
projected
be.
at 3% too. So
it's not a game for pitching.
What do you think about bats on both sides? This is, by the way, the second highest total right now on the entire slate.
Yeah, and it's a game that I'm getting to. I have 21 5-man stacks of the Angels. I have 22 5-man stacks of the Rays. If it doesn't really matter which side we start on here. So Tyler Anderson does tend to give up. If he's going to give up anything, it's going to be a little bit of power to righties, but he really, really doesn't have to worry about lefties. Lucky for him, 9 righties in the projected lineup for the Rays right now. So on paper, could be a tough spot for Anderson. Now, LA does play up lefty power way more than it plays up righty power, but it's still not a bad power park for righties. Ultimately, I'm willing to take my chances on some of the Rays, whether that's Arozarena, Paredes with the MPE, Jose Siri. There's a lot of power here to take advantage of Anderson. And then on the flip side, if you're just trying to look and think like, oh, maybe I want to go to the Angels, Erasmo Ramirez on the opposite end of this one. Ramirez, 230 x-ISO so far this season to lefties. Righties haven't really touched him. If you add in last year, still giving up that power to lefties. Now that plays into the ballpark. So whether that's Moniak, Ohtani, like we have Ohtani projected for 2% ownership with a first base outfield MPE. I have 17% Shohei Ohtani against a guy that gives up a ton of power in a park that plays up lefty power. Yes, please let me buy a home run from Shohei Ohtani at 2% ownership. Heartbreaking stance that I have to take there. Moustakas as a lefty plays up with power. Rengifo is a $3,600 shortstop that'll hit from the left side. Perfect. Matt Tice as a $2,600 catcher from the left side. I'm a bit higher on the Angels across the board because I'm not at all worried about Erasmo Ramirez. And this park is perfect for the Angels today. Sneaky. They're 14th in ownership. I have 4 times the field.
Yeah, how
or
is
more.
that?
I love them. They look great today. Look great.
They have. I just want to pull up totals here. They have a 5+ run total. Yeah,
they look great
against Ramirez. Not a bad park.
They're the best team to roster in 150 max based on ownership, and I don't think it's close.
Okay, I like that. I like that thinking for sure. Do you have any interest in Kyle Gibson or I assume Luis Medina going for Oakland? They didn't have an official starter.
Yeah.
It looked like he was the probable. And we did have a line on this game too, 8.5 run total. Baltimore minus 185. It's in Oakland though as well.
I like them both actually. We'll start with Gibson. He's 8,200. Now he's not a great pitcher to get to, but boy, oh boy, does it look a little bit better when you are facing Oakland. Park plays down runs. It completely neutralizes right-handed power. It just goes away. Now Gibson doesn't really have any major power issues. He doesn't discriminate to either hand, but in this spot for 8,200, I think he's very obviously the mid-tier guy you want to get to just because of the park and the matchup. There are strikeouts in the A's lineup. They stink overall, and the park certainly helps. But if Luis Medina is going today, I don't think 6,800 for him is a crazy value spot at no ownership. He's not like, don't go nuts and roster a lot of Luis Medina. That is not what I'm saying. Does have a little bit of problem giving up righty power. As I mentioned, 77 park factor for righty power in Oakland. So what Medina does wrong is completely neutralized by the park. I'm willing to take a chance on Medina at 6,800 at no ownership. I find him to be a little interesting if you need a pay down guy. And considering I'm playing a lot of Strider, I don't mind going to Medina.
Really? All right. A little surprised by that. I will say, though, Luis Medina early in the season was, when you talk about god awful, this dude was bad. He hasn't been as bad at all. I'm not saying he's been great. It's not like he has elite strikeout stuff. He hasn't been. You remember how bad he was earlier in the season where it was just like instantly you would expect him to be terrible and he was coming in relief efforts. He hasn't been that bad recently.
122 x-ISO to lefties this season for Medina. Like, if you can do that and then use the park to your advantage to not give up power, like, it's playing into his hand a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned that a long time ago from a betting perspective, looking at home runs. I remember he was facing the Rays and his 2 most frequently used pitches against righties, the fastball and the slider, were getting absolutely destroyed by righties. But yeah, all season he hasn't allowed that much power to lefties.
No.
He's not exciting. He's not great or maybe even good, but
no.
I get where you're going.
Doesn't take much at 6,800. Like if you're trying to go to 12-7 Strider, you're saving money somewhere. I don't think Medina is the craziest way to do that in Oakland. Like if this game were just in Baltimore, you wouldn't want to do it.
Right. Yeah, it's a good park. Arizona and San Diego, almost at 100 likes too. Appreciate you guys. We're 8 away. So if there's 8 of you out there that feel like being kind, atoning for your sins here on the morning strategy show, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, hitting that subscribe button. How about us get to 90,000 subs here? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Brandon Pfaadt, Seth Lugo, 8.5 run total. San Diego, pretty sizable favorites at home in this game. I guess there's 2 ways that we could look at this. One, Seth Lugo getting a lot of ownership. We have him at 25% right now. 3rd highest owned pitcher on the slate behind Pablo Lopez and Spencer Strider. And then San Diego bats against Brandon Pfaadt would also be worth talking about.
Yeah, you got to start with Lugo. It's a price thing. He's very hard to get away from. It's not like he's an exciting guy to get to. It's not a great strikeout matchup against Arizona. The park certainly helps him, and it helps him in particular because he does give up power to lefties. 191 x ISO so far this season, 86 park factor for lefty power in San Diego. So his biggest issue is mitigated a bit by playing here in San Diego, and that's what helps out the most. That and the $7,500 price tag. He's 25% owned, probably a little bit over-owned, but it's very easy to funnel that way. Whether you want to go to Heaney or Lugo, I don't have much of a separation between the two. You feel better about Lugo going deeper into the game. Heaney has the like crazy ceiling potential. So he's 25% owned. I have 21%. Totally cool with it. Brandon Pfaadt, not interested against San Diego. Probably will end up with a couple lineups of him, but it's the Padres on the opposite side. They're good.
Yeah. Padres are 2% owned right now. Slight positive leverage. Another issue, though, when you run into this, because you look at our top stack tool, that's included. We talk top pitchers, top stack. That's included in the half off MLB weekly or monthly. You know, the lowest value percentage is the Braves right now and the Dodgers, Rangers, and San Diego's right there with them. Like all of these really good teams. It doesn't mean you don't play them because their value score is low. It just means that if you are going to play them, it can be expensive. That's all.
I'm not really playing them. I have 3 5-mans of the pods here. I wouldn't mind it, but Tatis, Soto, Machado, the things you want are very expensive. And if you want to spend that money, I think there are better opportunities in other games. Similarly, for the Diamondback side, I do like the idea of wanting to get there because Seth Lugo's in a quarter of the lineups, but I think just not having the Diamondbacks is better than stacking against Seth Lugo. I don't expect Lugo to get blown up here, but it doesn't take much for him to be not interesting. So I don't want to get to Arizona. For anybody that thinking that you want to get on the opposite side of the ownership, I think just simply avoiding Arizona makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, and you know that just a lot of ownership goes to Coors here because I understand that these guys in this game, by and large, aren't as good as Braves bats, Dodgers, Rangers, Padres bats.
Yeah.
But also for Coors, they're really not that expensive.
No, not at all. Like the Diamondbacks are more expensive than the Padres today.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Wait, you're saying the Diamondbacks are more expensive than the Padres? Are they?
For what they are, you know, Corbin Carroll, 5,900,
right.
Marte, 56. Like they aren't as good as Juan Soto, Tatis, but they're getting comparable prices.
Yeah. All right. What do we got? 2 to go here?
I don't know. 1 to go?
One. Actually, this is it, huh?
It's the final countdown.
Game 12. Thanks, guys, for getting us north of 100 likes here. Hope you all have a great weekend. Let's close it out with the Miami Marlins and LA Dodgers, 8.5 run total. Sandy Alcantara, Tony Gonsolin. All right, so we talked about some of the highest owned pitchers. Pablo Lopez, Spencer Strider, Seth Lugo. Gibson, for what it's worth, is popular, and you talked about it, against Oakland. Just a bad offense. No surprise. Good pitcher park. Heaney and JP France. Those are the 6 guys that you referred to earlier getting that double-digit ownership. And for what it's worth, JP France is like fringe. You know, he's 10. and then it goes to 17, jumps to 23%. There's like 5 guys between 23 and 30%. But Tony Gonsolin's getting 3% here. Okay. And then on the other side, I don't think you have much ownership coming in there either, right? I'm trying to find it, but
no, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. So what Alcantara is at less than a 1% because he's $9,600 against the Dodgers.
Yeah. I don't think you can go to Sandy in this one. Clearly a talented pitcher, but Dodgers are good on the opposite side. This park aggressively plays up power. Now, Sandy doesn't really give up a ton of it. He's talented, but the strikeouts aren't really there anymore. So I don't really know what you're begging for here, unless you're just hoping to get to like BABIP the Dodgers. So I have no Sandy, and I don't expect to. I do have some Tony Gonsolin. He's 8K. I don't love the park for him today, but I do love the matchup against Miami. They're fine. Gonsolin does have mild power problems to both hands so far this season. That's a little scary. I don't think it's crazy to want to get to some of the power, like Jazz Chisholm today, potentially Jake Berger, Jesus Sanchez. There are spots to try to buy some cheap home runs. I don't want a ton of Miami just because of their run total. I think it's okay to have some Gonsolin, but not a lot. I think it's okay to have some Miami, but not a lot. I don't really have any interest in the Dodgers, though. Just because I don't want Sandy doesn't mean I'm trying to stack against him. This is a game where I would rather it just sort of not exist.
Let me just ask you this about Alcantara before we get out of here. I know that he doesn't profile all that well, even as far as like top 2 projection goes, or top 2 likelihood in the top pitchers tool, only 6.6%. But he is unowned. He's a good pitcher. He, last game, and I'm not trying to go like flat out recency bias here, but 3 of his last 4 games, 9 innings, 1 earned, 7 Ks. 8 innings, no earned, only 4 hits, 5 Ks. Then he got beat up a bit by Texas. Then last game, 9 innings, 1 earned, 10 Ks. Not walking a lot of batters. Strikeout stuff has been there recently. He can pitch extraordinarily deep into games. Do you think that's enough to be like, hey, maybe I just get a little bit over the field here because he's completely unowned? Just knowing that all of that top pitcher ownership is going to a 12-7 Strider and a 10-6 Pablo Lopez.
I would rather just drop a little lower and go to like Lorenzen or France. Alcantara's strikeout prop today, under 5.5, minus 136. Like you're praying that he goes 8 innings and doesn't get beaten around the ballpark.
Right. So you're saying Lorenzen is I won't say a poor man's Alcantara here because he's actually relatively expensive, but he's he's a middle of the road archetype of Alcantara in the sense that they get there the same way.
Yeah, he's
just in a better matchup.
Yeah, he gets the Nats instead of the Marlins or instead of the Dodgers. Like that's about as stark of a difference as you're going to get.
That's actually a good point. Yeah. He's the middle class Sandy Alcantara today.
Yeah. Like he's not as good as Sandy's, but like all that's doing is just equalizing these guys.
Right. All right. Hey, let's wrap it up with this. Unless you wanted to get to any other bats in this game.
Sure don't.
Your top 3 pitchers, I'm saying 3 because, provide a little bit of variety. And your top 3 stacks for this slate. Things can change. It's only 11 in the morning, but right now, where do you stand?
I'm going to go 4 pitchers because the 2, 3, 4 are all basically the same in terms of my exposure. I think Spencer Strider is pretty clearly number 1. And I don't have much of a separation in ownership between Kyle Gibson, Andrew Heaney, and Seth Lugo.
Okay. And stacks?
Stacks for right now. 1, 2. I guess I'll give 5. I'll give them in order of what I have for 150 right now. The most exposed stack that I have right now is the Chicago White Sox. I have 32 5-mans. After that, the next 4 that I have are all basically the same. The Rays, the Rockies, the Angels, and the Cardinals. The Angels would be, based on current ownership, the major contrarian play. Cardinals and Rays are pulling a little bit of ownership, but not a ton. Obviously, Rockies and White Sox are chalk.
Good stuff, man. Hey, don't forget your free square on Underdog. We broke those numbers down. Massive advantage plus 100% first match deposit bonus up to $100. That's free money out of the gate. Link in the description and chat for that. Same with all of our other tools, 50% off. You guys ever have any questions about any of this, hit me up on Twitter at Lofty_D. My DMs are open. Follow Josh at Josh Engleman. Shout out to Jordan for producing this one. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you back here for the next one on the MLB Strategy Show. Peace.